one time, well, we didn't care. We enjoyed fighting with him over it.
Was this his
One day I
dad?
went to the mailbox and
His uncle.
get the mail. In the mailbox was a little
Letha,
tin
could I get you some
metal
meat?
container like you used to have aspirin. On it, it said X-Lax. Had 3 little pellets in there. I went down to Uncle Clyde's. He lived a quarter mile south of it. I got in down to his mailbox. Went a mile west to Uncle Michael's and got his out of his mailbox. I come back and kind of scraped the sign off of it, said X-Lax. Heated a little bit so it would look all right. Put it in the sack and waited for him to come in from the field. And I was sitting there
Of course,
acting like
it tasted like candy, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
sitting there acting like I was eating it. He said, "What are you eating?" I said, "Nothing." Let me see. And he grabbed that sack out of my hand, looked in there and ate it. 6 pieces of X-Lax. He said, "Got any more?" And I said, "No." Let me see. And he threw me down, searched me, and he couldn't find it. Asked about Ralph. Ralph didn't have anything. He threw him down, went through his pocket and found one of the little tins. He knew what we'd done to him. When he hit 80 or 85, his daughter Margaret sent letters to everybody
Now get out of here.
about Uncle Mike's birthday party that he's having, and to write letters about what he meant to us and different things that we remember about him. She said, I wrote that in his letter. Margaret said, they sat there and read those letters, and people laugh and clap. When he read mine, they said, Uncle Mike just sat there and cried. So I decided I must have meant something to him.
Yeah.
Norma and I pantsed him.
What's that?
Deep-handed him.
Oh, deep hand.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, Norma had just graduated from high school, and so I was the year behind her. And we had taken a trip, the first big trip we'd ever taken with the folks. We went out, they lived in California, we went out there, and of course he was a big tease. And he had a daughter that was younger than I. And he just picked on us the whole time we were there. And Norma told him if he didn't leave us alone, we were going to take his pants off. And well, of course, he was quite sure that that wouldn't happen. And we were pretty big kids. And Joycey was, what, 3 years younger than me or more? I don't know. But she was still a teenager. Well, we got a hold of him, and we got him in the bedroom. And we all jumped on him, and we said we were going to take his pants off. And it was, here, girls. I'm not dressed for that. Here. And he was worried. And we were going at him, and he was fighting us off. Well, he was fighting us off, and we had him on the bed, and he wrapped his legs around my waist. Now, I was really skinny.
And he fell on me, back on the bed. So I just hung on as hard as I could.
And he wrapped his legs around my waist. Well, I was little enough, I just turned around in his leg lock. And I'm standing right there, and I undid his belt and unzipped his pants. And then Joyce and I, she got one leg and I got the other, and Norma held him down. And we took his pants off. We'd have been really embarrassed if he hadn't been wearing underwear. But anyway, he didn't
You'd be in a bad
think,
position there, wouldn't you?
Yeah. He didn't think that we could do that. But
That's a great story.
We didn't think we
Did you ever have anything like that, Rachel, when you were young? Did you ever do anything like that?
Oh my goodness, did you turn that thing on?
Different world, different world.
You can tell now we went through a hard year.
Uncle Manuel, I'd be in high school, Letha and I. Excuse me, and they'd come to visit. And you know how high school kids, you want to sleep. Like Rachel, she'd sleep forever at 15. Well, Uncle Manuel would come up, and he'd say, now you girls get up, get up. I want you to look at the pigs. The pigs are beautiful at sunrise. And I'll say, oh, and we would get up, and I'll never forget. I'm just doing the best I can trying to ignore Uncle Manuel. He comes in, and he takes the side of my bed, and he just tips it up, and he says, get up.
And dumped us on the
Dumped us
floor.
on the floor and said, I want you to look at the pigs at sunrise.
Well, you know, when I was pretty young, Uncle Manuel and Uncle Clyde and my dad get
Dump the bed
together.
off, you know where I
No
got
hold
that.
board.
They
They played dangerous.
Oh, it was pretty rough.
It was
Oh,
rough.
yeah.
They would go, of course, we didn't have any furnace or anything. We heated, just a heating stove. They would take the poker and put it in the stove to get it red hot. Go in the bedroom with a hot poker, jab it at you, and they might hit once in a while if you know it, out of the way. And they would chase one another just
With
in
the
their
hot
underwear
poker.
all over the house, chasing poker. And sometimes they would take the poker and didn't even heat it, and they'd take out after somebody, and they stick that poker between their legs, go like that, and then let out the biggest squalls you ever heard. They thought they were getting burnt. They played awful hard.
Well, Mother said
Lord says
they would get in a water fight.
Lord says they
And they'd go running through the house throwing water on each other.
Bucket of water, if you was in
Bucket
bed,
of
they'd
water.
dump it on top of you in bed.
A bucket
whole
of
bucket of water.
But their houses weren't like ours today. They were wood floors.
Yeah,
and
rough.
It wasn't much. But I just couldn't believe that they would race through the house throwing water at each other.
I was telling Rachel, when I was young, we didn't have anything to play with. We had to originate something. And sometimes we get in egg fights. We might throw 5 or 6 dozen eggs before we quit. Mom would never complain. We got in an egg fight one time. Esther,
In the house?
no, outside.
Outside.
running across the yard.
We got
They
in an egg
preferred
fight one
if they
time
had
with
found the
Esther
nest
and-
of rotten eggs.
Esther and a friend of ours worked for us, Dutch, we call him, he's still a good friend of mine. That morning, Dutch and I was milking cows. He hated to milk cows worse than I did, and I hated to work worse than anything in the world. I got through before he did. And I went out to the manger and got some hay and threw it to the cows, and there was an egg. I picked it up and walked to Dutch, and I was about as close to near to you and act like I was gonna throw it. He said you wouldn't dare. I hit him right between the eyes.
He's fit.
He wasn't through milking, but he was then. He grabbed that bucket of milk and took out after me. He chased me for about as long as I could run, carrying this bucket of milk. But he couldn't catch me, and I guess he couldn't outrun him. Esther got in on it. We threw eggs for hours. And I was hitting them once in a while, but they never did get me. When I thought everything was settled down, I just went out into the house, and he stepped out and hit me right in the mouth with a hard-boiled egg.
Oh.
Left a big knot on my lip. I couldn't whistle for a year. But we did stuff like that.
We were little. Letha and I were really little. But I can remember your mother. Because those wore dresses. I can remember Esther was always trying to defend, she protected us from those boys, Lawrence and Ralph. And she had her dress, and she's holding her dress up like this, and she had eggs. And she was running with the dress, and she had those eggs that she'd throw them at Lawrence and Ralph. And Letha and I were watching, and when they'd go by, Esther would say, "Give me some more eggs." Give me some more eggs, because Letha and I
We
were
must have had a
little.
lot of chickens.
Well, as little kids, we were supposed to get the eggs. Well, the eggs were here, but then the chickens would sometimes lay eggs other places. Well, Letha and I knew where they were, so we'd go get the eggs for your mom. And they'd just throw eggs and
We used to,
Did you watch it?
through with it.
I am.
I am too. My dad, well, Dutch and I don't know who, well, you know who Dutch is or not. Dutch, we'll go back a little ways with Dutch. One, in the harvest time, we'd hire harvest men. Well, your dad said, "I know a guy up at Rice Center that needs a job." Well, high school. We had him come down and we checked him over and we liked him. We hired him and he said, "I have a brother that needs a job." Well, bring him down, so Kenny Barnes come down with his brother. We worked a couple of days. They know another guy that needs a job. Bring him down. The Dutch came down. Dutch stayed for about 3 years
That's farm.
on the farm,
Uh-huh.
helping us, living with me.
They were like brothers.
We're still brothers. He's still alive.
Uh-huh.
He's a year younger than me. But what we didn't get into, nobody did. We'd always do something. We slept in the haymow. And when Dad wanted us to get up in the morning, we had beds out there, we had record player out there, and all kinds of stuff. Books to read, magazines. We slept in the haymow, and it had that big door on the south side. He would come in, drive the cows in, first to milk them, feed them, walk out, get a bucket of water, come in, and had a spray pump, and he put this in there and started pumping that squirt water in on us through that window. Had to wake us up. We kind of got tired of that. I said, "I'm going to get it." I got me a 5-gallon bucket of water, and I put it up in the haymow. One of my little sisters saw me do it, and she told him. So he knew it. So he wouldn't come in the barn anymore. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, he made a mistake. He came in, fed the cows, put the cows in. When he went out, I put that water there and put a metal lid on it. I took that lid off and I threw it. This one Sunday morning. And shoot that water out that window. I never looked at it before I threw it. It was just black. It was so sour. He had clean overalls and shirt on. Hit him right in the middle of the back and knocked him down. He was so mad he couldn't hardly stand it. He was vomiting and go all the way to the house. I don't stinking water on it. He died not knowing who did that.
Who was
He said,
that?
"Did you?" What?
I thought that was Dutch.
Dutch and me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I threw the water, but every time he'd ask us who did it, I'd say Dutch did it. He'd look at Dutch and Lawrence did it. He never did know who did it.
Oh, Dutch wasn't the one you threw the water on.
no.
Oh, I thought Dutch was the one you threw the water on.
No, I threw it. But I never looked in that bucket. I probably wouldn't have thrown it if it was on that
Yeah, you probably would have. I'm sure you would. It would have made it more, way better.
You know, through the years, you just try to find things to get even with people.
I've been trying to do that with Rick forever.
What?
I've been trying to do that with Rick forever.
Yeah?
Special?
I'm gonna tell you something, this is also a true story. You know, I had a wonderful mother.
You know, I'm here as a
She did so
witness in
much
case she
for us
doesn't.
kids. She'd be wore out, she'd still do things for us. Sunday morning, she'd always feel sorry for us because we had to do chores and we would like to sleep late on Sunday morning. This one Sunday morning, she went out, got the cows, put them in the barn, and milk them for us. We had 25 head of sheep. We had one old buck sheep, but he was kind of mean. On the back to the house, this old buck sheep was with the cows and he started lagging back. And before he got to the barn, he charged her, knocked her down and stoved her up pretty good. And that night, so ready to go get the cows and milk them. I put her hat on, I put her dress on.
I remember this.
I get an oak table leg about 3 feet long on that cow. Got about halfway back, and I noticed that buck sheep was lagging back. And when he stopped and looked at me, I just stopped, watched him. When he went on, I'd go on. When he stopped, I'd stop. Got almost to the barn and he charged me. When he got to me, I just squatted and let him hit my knees, and I hit him upside the head of that oak table leg. And before I could turn around, he hit me from behind. And every other time I'd hit him, and every other time he'd hit me. And finally, he decided that's a tough old woman, so he went on. I got him in the barn and worked him over pretty good, but he never butted anybody again. But there's another thing about that old buck sheep. He, every time you move a sheep, if one goes, they all go. They hang together. Dutch and I put all the sheep in the barn one time. Went in and that old buck sheep, we put him in the stall where he couldn't get out and run the others out. We went in and let him out, and then we went out, opened the door and went out. And we'd open that door, he'd see it was open, here he come, just as hard as he'd come. When he got there, we'd shut the door, and he'd just double up hitting that thing. Ralph come over, what are you guys doing? He said, look in there. It was dark in the barn. He looked in there. He couldn't see that buck sheep until it hit him right in the chest. Knocked him head over head. And when he got up, Dutch and I was clear out of sight. But he didn't buck Mom anymore.
So she was a tough old woman, huh?
Were you the one that the bull were you the one that the bull knocked down, or was that Ralph?
Pop.
No, I thought it was one of you boys.
No.
No?
Ralph shot the bull, get him off of my dad.
Oh, okay. We were pretty little then, but I remember a little bit about it. That was scary. But she told him it was beef, and he ate it, and he just raved about, that's the best beef I've ever had. And Mom just giggled to herself, and she never told him what he had eaten.
It was fun.
Dean had a friend who used to come over to our house. He only lived a block away. They were such good friends. One time, he was so at home at our house. I'd be cooking and he'd watch it first and he'd taste it, get us to taste it. She was frying some meat one day. He stood there talking to her. He went over and got a spoon, took a bite of this meat, tasted it, and he said, that's good, what is it? She said, that's horse meat, I'm cooking it for the dog.
Well, some people eat horse meat.
Indians like it. They like mule meat better, but I guess in England they eat a lot of horse meat.
Horse meat.
Well,
What a horror.
when I lived in Eugene, there was a butcher shop in Springfield, which was just on the other side of the river, that sold horse meat.
Yeah,
And some people, it was a lot cheaper than beef.
And they liked it.
Yeah.
there's really
I've
nothing
never
wrong with
tasted it, but I guess it's kind of sweet tasting.
Well, you're not supposed to eat it now in this country.
Why?
Well, because the environmentalists don't want you to.
I was gonna tell you something else about your dad. He loved whipped cream. My mother's always cooking and using whipped cream. She made the best plum date pudding you ever ate.
That's right.
And when she made it, she'd put a lot of whipped cream on it. They come home from church one time, Mom had this date pudding made. He was sitting beside me at the table. Mom said, just started saying the blessing, I took a spoon and got his whipped cream. Something. He started to get his, Mom started saying the blessing. When she said amen, I saw a flash. I put my hand over mine.